everybody, my name is Laila Hameen from Halo Arts, and welcome to Storytime! I just want to say that I know that a lot of kids are starting back school and things are not looking the same as they probably did last year, but that doesn't make you any different. That still makes you very smart and very, very capable of learning new things. Alright, so today's story is entitled Ron's Big Mission, written by Rose Blue and Corinne Naden. Illustrated by Don Tate. Now, this is a written story based on a real person named Ron McNair. So let's get ready to learn. But before we get started, I want you to make sure to put on your listening ears. Your favorite pair, just snap them on. Oh, mine are on. Yes. All right, Ron's Big Mission. You're up early this morning, Ron. What's the rush? Asked Mrs. McNair. Come and have your breakfast. I made some oatmeal. I have to go, Mama, said Ron, tying his sneakers. I have something to do this morning. You always have something to do, said his mother with a smile. Just be home by lunchtime, okay? Ron was 9 years old. That morning he left his house with a plan. He'd been thinking about it for a long time. It was such a beautiful South Carolina summer day. Ron looked up at the blue, blue sky. Someday, he thought, he would be flying up there. He would be up there flying a plane. He wanted to be a pilot when he grew up. But today, Ron had something else on his mind. Something very important. Ron walked down the street as fast as he could. But he didn't want to be late. Hi, Ron, the grocer called from the front of his store. There you are, just in time for a donut. Morning, Mr. Douglas, said Ron. Thank you, but there's someplace I've got to be. And Ron kept on walking. Down by the schoolyard, Ron saw his friend Carl shooting baskets. All right, you made it, called Carl. Hi, Carl, said Ron. I wish I could stay, but I've got something important to do. More important than basketball on summer vacation, said Carl. Are you kidding me? Ron laughed. He loved to play basketball, but not today. Today was too important. Ron kept on walking. When Ron got to the Lake City Public Library, he stopped. This was it. He was hot from walking so fast, and he was nervous too. He took a deep breath, lifted his head high, and went inside. Mrs. Scott was busy getting ready for all the people who would be using the library today. As the head librarian, she had to make sure that everything was neat and orderly. Mrs. Scott looked up to welcome her first visitor of the day. She smiled as Ron walked in. He was her best customer. Ron gave a little wave to Mrs. Scott and went right to the shelves. It took Ron a while to find some books. He always looked for books that showed children who looked like him. But that was hard. There were not many books about black kids on the shelves. At last, Ron found some books on airplanes. He took the books and started to walk to the front desk. Ron felt nervous, and his hands felt a little sweaty. But he knew what he wanted to do. Mrs. Fielding, a white lady who was often in the library, stopped him. "You can give me the books and I'll check them out for you, Ron," she said gently. "No thanks, Mrs. Fielding," Ron said. "I'm going to do it all by myself." "But Ron," she started to say. Ron was already on his way to the front desk. He put the books on the counter. "I'd like to check these out, please," said Ron. The desk clerk didn't look at him. "Didn't she hear me?" Ron wondered. Ron knew what he had to do. He jumped up on the counter. He wanted the desk clerk to know he was serious. "I'd like to check out these books," he said quietly. At first, the desk clerk and Mrs. Scott looked at each other. "You know you can't check out books, Ron," said Mrs. Scott. "You can read them here. That's the rule. Only white people can check out books from the library." Ron looked at Mrs. Scott and the desk clerk politely, but he would not budge. "I always read them here. Today, I want to check them out," said Ron. Mrs. Scott and the desk clerk did not know what to do. Ron wouldn't get off the counter. People were staring. Finally, the desk clerk called the Lake City police. Policemen came right over. "Let someone check out the books for you, son," said one of the policemen. "You know the rules." But Ron just shook his head. He would not budge. Now Mrs. Scott called Ron's mother. Mrs. McNair came to the library very quickly. "Now, I know how you feel, baby," she said, "but you have to follow the rules." "I can't, Mama," Ron told her. "It's wrong. The rules are not fair. Why can't I check out books like everyone else?" No one said anything. Not the desk clerk, not Mrs. Scott, not the policeman, not even Ron's mother. Mrs. Scott looked at Ron. She thought about all the times that Ron came into the library and all the times he sat at the tables for hours looking over so many books. He was her best customer, and she knew what she had to do. Scott walked back into her office and started writing. Ron wondered what she was doing. Mrs. Scott returned and handed Ron a library card. His library card. Ron looked at Mrs. Scott and smiled. As he jumped to the floor, he thought he saw her smile too. "I'd like to check out these books, please," he said, handing the card to the desk clerk. The desk clerk took his library card and stamped the cards in the back of the books. "These are due back in 2 weeks," she said. Ron smiled. "Thank you," he said. He tucked the books under his arm and took his mother's hand. Together, they walked home, and Ron couldn't wait to get to his room. And open to page 1. Well, this was a very inspiring story. Did you know that we actually took a little bit of a time travel back to 1959 when this actually happened? This is based off of a true story based on Ron McNair. Now, some fun facts about Ron McNair. He grew into a man who flew planes just like he dreamed he would do. He became an astronaut. Today, everyone in the Lake City remembers him. They remember him every time they walk into the library. The red brick building on 234 Main Street is a very special place. The walls in the children's rooms were painted with pictures that show children reading books under a huge oak tree. A space shuttle flies through the sky. A young Ron McNair had a dream. On that day in 1959, he made it start to come true. Because of him, many young people have a chance to dream. He was actually an astronaut on the 1986 the Challenger, which unfortunately exploded on January 28th with the loss of the entire crew. And from Halo Arts, we want to send a huge salute and a big halo thank you to Ron McNair. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's story time. And remember, we're all amazing human beings. We were all created equally. We all have the ability to continue to learn. Thank you and have a great day. See you next time. Bye.